Hey, Donnie Smith here, and in this video, we're going to show you the steps we took to hook up this light bar on this 2004 GMC Sierra. Jordan decided he wanted a light bar for his pickup. He just got this pickup, so we contacted our friends at Auxbeam, and they sent us a light bar for this pickup. So we're going to show you the steps we took to install it. First thing we did is just set it up there. We kind of put the brackets on, set it up there just to kind of see how it was going to all align up. And then I kind of determined where we wanted to set and where we wanted the brackets to set. And by the way, you will need to get brackets for your specific pickup. This is for the GMC Sierra. I'll put a link down in the description for that in the light bar, but it does take a specific brackets for it to fit right on your make and model. But anyway, we're getting it lined up where we want it to set, and we looked at the location, and now I'm putting the brackets right where they were at. I had some reference points that I'm going off of, and now I'm going to mark the holes that the bracket, where it screws into the pickup right there. So I'm just marking them with a pencil, and once I have those marked, I'm going to drill those out. We're going to put some sheet metal screws in it, some good sized sheet metal screws. So we're drilling the holes, and then we will screw the screws through the bracket into the pickup right there. And you can see where the three holes are located, and we're doing the same on the other side. And now we've got the bracket, and we're installing it. Now notice it's loose. I don't want to tighten the bracket at this point. I want to leave everything kind of loose until we get the light bar on and see how it's all going to line up in our final aligning. So I'm just putting the screws in and leave them a little bit loose. I do this side, then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now we have both the brackets on, and like I said, they're loose, and now we're going to set it up there. And the brackets were loose, and I think Jake gets confused because the bracket's down too low. But I tell him that, after we get the light bar on, we can adjust everything and tighten it up. I was telling him it's going to set about right there. So anyway, we went ahead and put the light bar on, and then we bolted the light bar to the brackets. There's a bolt that goes through each side. So we screwed those in, and again, we didn't tighten that all the way yet either. We're going to leave everything loose, get it aligned, and then tighten everything. Now, this is Jordan's pickup. I don't know if you've watched my videos for a long time, but these are my twin boys, and they're grown up now. I don't know if you remember, like on the Mustang project, there's little bitty guys, and they've helped me out with a few videos along the way. They didn't go into this career. They're both in construction now. They do sheetrocking, framing, things like that. But yeah, they're all grown up now. But like I said, if you've been watching my videos for a while, man, they was just little bitty guys when they started out. So time flies. It goes by fast. So anyway, we're getting these bolts into the side here. Just getting them started. Jordan's already got his in. Jacob's working on his. And once we get them started, we can kind of get the light bar aligned where it should be and tighten everything up. Getting the drill ready to tighten them up there. And you notice Jacob's getting that thing aligned just right. That's one thing you don't want to do. If that's not perfectly aligned, don't force a bolt into the threads, because you're going to cross thread it, and then you've got a mess. That's something that you don't want to do. So make sure everything is going in correctly before you start tightening it up. So now we got everything hand tight, got it aligned where we want it, and now we're just going to start tightening everything up. First, we're going to tighten the brackets up on both sides, and then we're going to come back and tighten the bracket to the light bar up. There might be some final adjustment we have to do on the light bar, but we'll do that later after we can aim it and see how it sets and everything. But we got all that tightened up. And now I'm pulling that inside weather strip off, and we can start running these wires. So I'm going to get that main wire that goes to the light bar, and I'm going to run it down this A-pillar. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this trim off in case we decide we need to go inside of there, run some of the wiring. But I'm just going to run that down, and then we're going to run this wiring right there through the fender right there. And you can see where I am running the harness through, and I'm just running it straight through the fender. And if you look through there, you can see where that goes in through the door opening, and you can pull it through right there. And once we have that through, we can plug the light bar in. This is the main harness that goes, to the light bar, and then we'll still have to run the switch here in a little bit. Getting that plugged in, and this is where I'm going to put the wire. Just kind of run it right underneath that weather stripping right there. Now I can put that back in. Get that pushed on, and all these weather strippings, they just pull off and push on. Easy to remove and install. There's no clips on these, so it just it has kind of a channel that fits around that pinch weld and keeps it tight on there. And now I'm putting the outside weather strip back on. Now where that bracket's at, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because it's right there, so you'll have to really hit it down a little bit for it to seat properly. So that might take just a little bit more work. But once you get around the bracket, you just follow it down that A-pillar, to get the seal on. So I'm getting that on, and then we can continue. Okay, now here's the wiring harness, and these are the relays. Now this is the negative and the positive. The negative I'm going to hook up to the battery right there, and the negative, or the positive, and the negative I'm going to hook up to a ground, just that bolt right there. And I also have these relays that I'm going to have to hook up to the fender. I'm going to have to remove this battery in order to do that. And as you can see, I can just fit it behind all that and screw it in to the fender well there. So we'll do that in a little bit. Okay, now we have the switch wires that we've got to run through, and this is your negative and positive that go in and connect to the positive and negative inside the pickup. And I'm running those through. I'm kind of getting them out of the hinge way, so that's why I'm running them back behind that. And now we're going to run them back through that same spot we ran those other ones. Now these wires are kind of flimsy, so we're going to use this wire to help push those through, help fish them through. So I'm going to tape that together, and then once it's taped together, I'll push it through, and then you can easily pull the wires and everything through. Makes it pretty easy, using something like that. This is just a welding rod, oxyacetylene welding rod. If you didn't have that, maybe a coat hanger or anything like that would probably work. So now he's plugging the harness in. He's going to get that plugged in, and then we'll wire it inside and have that ready to go. So here's the fuse box right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is hook up a test light. So I'll put that on the ground. And what I want to do, Jordan wants us to be able to turn on and off without the ignition on. So we want something that powers up with the ignition off. So I pulled that fuse off the one that powers, stays on all the time, and put this adapter in. I'll put a link down. This is just an adapter that gives you a wire that you can tie into, and you put the fuse in this adapter, and then you can plug that whole thing in to where the fuse went. And what this does, and then it has the wire that comes out, and you can connect another wire to it. So I'm going to connect that, and I'm going to crimp it down right there. So get that crimped down. We'll make sure it's in there good. Alright, now I've got the positive. Now I can attach the negative. And that bolt right there, if you can see it right there, I'm going to loosen that up. And then I'm going to put the negative wire, attach it right there, and then tighten that back up. So I got the negative. I'm just going to slip it behind there. And now tighten it back up. Now I've got those connected, I am just going to get a zip tie. I'm going to fold these wires up and zip tie them just to make them nice and neat. And then once it's zip tied, I can push it back in the fuse box area and then put the fuse cover back on. So I got that tight, and I'm going to cut the end of that zip tie off. Just keep it out of the way. And now I can tuck that in there and put the cover back on. And it just pops in. You just pull it out, it pops on and off. It's very easy to take this fuse cover off. Okay, now I've got some alcohol and I'm just wiping this down because this is where we're going to put the switch. He wanted it on his A pillar right here. So I'm just running that right under the molding right there. And it's double-sided tape the way this works. And I'm going to peel that backing off. And the reason we put the alcohol is so that it sticks well and it's not pulling off or comes off or anything. I just cleans it real good to where that will stick real well. And I was asking him, making sure this is where he wanted it, and it is. So we push it on real good. You want to push firmly, and now we got a switch on. Okay, this light bar also come with some covers, 4 different covers, and what I'm thinking they are is they kind of help. This is a spotlight, and I think this just kind of makes a floodlight out of it. Kind of disperses the light a little bit on the ends. So we're putting those on. 2 go on each side. And I may be wrong with the purpose of these, but that's what I'm thinking they are. But they just clip on to the ends there. You just put one in, set it in, and then push the top in, and it clips into place. Real easy to put these on. Once we got these on, basically have the light bar installed. Still got to do some zip tying under the hood, but we're going to see what it looks like. And it is really bright. It's really hard to tell. This camera tries to autofocus and adjust for all that. But man, it is a really bright light. It's going to be able to see well. And now we're also going to get it outside. And then we might have to adjust that bar up or down a little bit, to get it aimed just right. And it also has a dim and a bright. I don't know what the dim's for, but it has two different buttons for each setting. Anyway, pretty cool. Now we're just going under the hood. We're going to do some zip tying, making sure everything's good and tight, putting everything back together, and we will be done. But anyway, I really do appreciate you for watching this video. And if you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment. I will put some of the information about the light bar and the brackets in the description below. And thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you in the next video.